How many distinct turning points do you have in your personal history? Chance encounters that drastically change the course of your life? Probably not that many. For most people, life is simply a series of minor, incremental events that collectively add up to a roadmap for how you arrived at where you are today. But every once in a while, a single incident has a seismic effect on your future. Today's guest understands the effect of chaos theory as well as anyone. His current life path can be contact traced back to a specific FaceTime conversation that occurred between artist Tom Sachs and Frank Ocean at a North Shore skate park. That particular encounter transformed his entire life. Since then, he's become one of the most sought-after male models on the planet. He can be found on Times Square billboards, on European fashion show runways, and stylishly airborne above the coping at skate parks around the globe. To celebrate the 50th annual Pipe Masters competition this week, we bring you a special bonus episode of The Plug, recorded on location during last year's historic event. Our conversation is the byproduct of some unmistakably Hawaiian atmospherics, including errant roosters, barking dogs, and rain squalls. But ultimately, our discussion turned out unique, not despite these distractions, but because of them. Hawaii makes you feel a certain way. Today, skater, muse, model, and reluctant social media influencer, Mr. Evan Mock. Welcome to the platform. You've had a banger year, man. You good to be back?
Yeah, it's nice to be in some place for longer than 3 days.
Living out of a suitcase?
Yeah.
I guess people always ask you about the highlights of living the high life. Is there a dark moment, like a low light from the last couple months that really stands out to you?
A low light?
A low light. You're just like, God damn, I really just want to be back, like with my crew. I want to be in the family. Like, I don't know, like the grind gets to you.
Honestly, no. I this year has been the craziest one yet, and it's, there's no complaints. I'm doing everything I've ever wanted to do, and it's cool to be able to like show other people that they can do it too, because I'm just some kid from a little island and just love surfing and skating and found his way into the fashion game a little bit, and it's interesting.
That's amazing, man. That's good news, man, because it seems like everyone always, whether it's like a band or a model or anybody that kind of lives out of a suitcase and travels and is away from their family, there's usually those moments where it's just like, this is not living up to the expectations of what I really want.
Yeah, I mean, there are those little times of like, man, I really wish I was home surfing with everyone right now. Like, I feel like if Instagram wasn't created, then you wouldn't be as jealous, but you see everything on there, so it's like, missed a good session today. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like, Hawaii's always going to be there. Your friends are always going to, I mean, hopefully your friends are always
But it cuts both ways, too, because I feel like with Instagram, everyone always puts their best foot forward, or only their best foot forward. It's almost like you're viewing an avatar of a person. So I'm sure that there's people here on the island that are looking at you being like, are you serious? Like, I'm stuck on the North Shore right now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a two-way street.
And reality is probably somewhere in between. Like,
Right.
Like, it seems like there's like this intrinsic ethos in Hawaii specifically, but surfing to a lesser degree, where like humility and respect are really valued concepts. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the nature of what you guys do when you're surfing. Like, you're battling this force which is way larger than you, and at any given point you can just be humbled and have a shocker, and I think that helps kind of temper egos and arrogance or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like...
Do you find that you must find that that's useful coming back to an environment where people, they don't really give a shit that you're Evan Mock. You're just you're Evan. It must be like a real positive grounding experience, because I've known you for a while. You know, you're a real dude. You know, it's not, hasn't gone to your head.
Yeah, and I think growing up in Hawaii is kind of the best thing you could ever do, because not very many places you grow up you learn about the ocean and learn about respect at an early age. And like the street that you grow up on, all your peers are allowed to slap you up if they see you acting up or whatever. So
and it seems like it's almost the opposite of that in LA, where it's like images, everything, and optics are reality.
Yeah, I think it's special. I'm super lucky for having like amazing mentors and like just the older people around me that were looking out for me as a kid at a young age. Well, I never really like hung out with kids my age anyway, so it was like, I feel like I grew up pretty quickly in that aspect of just like knowing what was up at an early age, just because everyone else knew what it was. So it's just I kind of made myself figure it out.
Yeah.
Through them, I guess.
Well, like every winter, there's this huge influx of surf circus that shows up on this island, you know, including me. I always come in the month of December, and it's exciting and it feels really international. But for somebody who grew up here and is here, you know, 12 months of the year, or, you know, one time was here 12 months of the year, it seems like it could be really sleepy and a real insulated little environment. And so for someone who's had the opportunity to have their horizons just explode over the last couple of years, have you had any moments where there's like a disconnect with the perspective of the people you came up with? Like, you come back and you're like, I just walked a runway show and you guys are like bitching about somebody backpedaling you at Rockies, or you know,
I don't know. I think it's the balance of just everything. It is funny because I don't know, I always kind of, even before I moved, I always felt like I was kind of separated in that sense of like, I want to do something. Like, as soon as I could move out from here, I did. Like, financially, I moved to California, so it was like funny to like see how things never really change here. But I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's comfortable and you know exactly what you're getting. It's not like you're going, because you're traveling constantly all year and you're pretty much going through new experiences, and you come back here at the end of the year and like you know what you're getting, and you like can't wait to get there, because it's kind of like the cherry on top at the end of the year of like being able to come and surf with all the homies, seeing their businesses grow, just being here for the holidays with your family, and like there's a lot of different things that happen pretty much every year that you know is going to happen. So it's a nice like little icing on the cake of the end of the year.
And it must be
work,
like refreshing in the sense just to know that you come back and like people are going to treat you how they treated you when you grew up, and they're going to respect you because of how you skate and how you surf and how you conduct yourself, not because Instagram and fashion and all this other thing.
It's cool though. It's cool. They encourage me in an interesting way. They're just like, man, you're killing it right now. But I feel like they don't exactly know what I do, and even they just see certain things that make them think I'm doing that. So it's funny that, because I feel like there's very few people that can relate to what I'm doing, like from here at least, that really understand like shooting a Vogue photo diary is a huge thing for me.
It's huge. It's huge for anybody. I guess what I'm getting at is that you have seemed to be able to pull it off with such grace and humility, and not just become that guy who has been caught up in this tornado of attention and fame and all these things that can, you know, I've seen it become a real destructive factor to a lot of people. And they just become ugly people, and you know, and it hasn't happened to you. But I guess what I'm asking, do you think that there's something about the North Shore specifically that helps that not become an issue? I feel like if you roll off a plane and show up on the North Shore with your chest out like you're the shit, I don't think that's really gonna fly here, no matter who you are. You know?
I mean, I think there's a right and wrong way to do it. I definitely think it's just funny because everyone like around here that are my peers are my heroes, so it's like I don't feel like I'm in a position to be like above them in any means. But I don't know. I think, I mean, it just depends what you're into, because like someone who's not into surfing is not going to care about like who's winning a world title right now. But like if they're into fashion and they see me in North Shore, that means so much more to them for some reason, just because they're into, you know, photography or art or whatever it is. It just touches them more than seeing, like, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but anyone that, you know, that I look up to, you know.
Yeah. Well, did you have an awakening? I mean, did you look up to people in the fashion world? Is that something you wanted to do? Something that kind of happened to you? I mean, obviously you had heroes growing up that were kind of titans of the lineup, but did you look up to people in the world that you are now actually a legitimate part of now?
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to this girl Gray. I was just saying like how I cared about like if the lid of my hat was flat or something, or like wanting this 5950 LA hat was like the panels were camo and black, and I just wanted it from TJ Maxx so bad. Just like little things like that. I kind of knew I wanted to look good when I walked out.
You had a specific sense of style.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I didn't know anything about anything, but I just thought that's what it was. Like, whatever I thought was cool. And then, I don't know, just little hints. Like, kids at that age, I was probably like 10, they didn't really care about what they were wearing, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think the irony that I've experienced from the North Shore is that despite this kind of laid-back atmospherics and aloha spirit, like it can be a real conservative place in a lot of ways, especially with respect to fashion. So I mean, forget having pink hair. Like I remember a couple years ago, just rocking skinny jeans was a real controversial statement.
Yeah.
Have you gotten any blowback, like from your look or just from being like a model in general?
I think before I was validated. It's funny because people will hate on you before it's validated by like LVMH or one of those big brands, so like Louis Vuitton, Hennessy,
nice,
Moet.
Nice plug for those not on the inside. Yeah.
No, but it's funny because like unless they see something like that, then it's like, oh well, I guess it's cool now because this big brand that
you're
So
on the
it legitimizes it.
On the come up, you got a little bit more blowback, and then now that you're kind of like official and legitimate, then
but I knew growing up it was gonna be like that because I'm trying to create my own path, so everyone's gonna not understand it at the first time, until it happens. So I think it's interesting to see people's responses and their reactions, and it's mostly positive now because it's like I'm just trying to buy my parents a house, and I think I'm gonna do that next year. So
Good
it's
for
like
you, man.
it's just like it at the grand scheme of things, me wearing something questionable in your eyes it's not really that big of a deal.
What does Instagram mean to you? What's your connection with that? Like, do you find it as like a double-edged sword, or do you just really embrace it? You love it?
I've been treating it more and more like a joke every day, just because it's like it's excelled my career at the same time as connected me with a lot of my friends today. But it's funny to portray yourself as something that you're not, and I think it's like absolutely hilarious because like the stuff I post, like it's the stuff I'm really doing, but it's not like my everyday stuff.
That's the thing. Everyone always puts their best foot forward. So
right.
It's truth in the sense that it's happened to you, but it's not a proper representation of reality.
Right.
Do you find there's a little bit of a Frankenstein's monster element to it, where you get this massive following and it becomes that much more difficult to just have fun with it because there's so much more at stake?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little harder to actually say what you want, just because, that gecko just dropped from like 2 stories and he's out of here. Oh, what a hammer. It's like cool to be able to use that and inspire kids, because I was never in a position to, like, at least I thought, to inspire people or kids especially, and I feel like I am now. Just because of certain things that have happened, and kids like really like show me love nowadays, and it's cool because like I was that kid literally like last year. I still am that kid. I'm inspired by so many people, and like I'm lucky enough to be able to like actually be their friend now and like see how they operate and see what it took to get there. And like I just ask questions after questions, and just I'm so interested in how people like get to where they're going, and I take all that information and use it for myself and my vision and how I want to kind of tell my story.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I feel like a lot of people don't, and they're in an opportunity and they just like get caught up in like whether it's partying or fame or ego or whatever it is. But like it's just, I get the sense you really have a great perspective of leveraging always these experiences and figuring out like what the next move is.
Yeah, I think it's back to your question. Instagram's cool to like inspire the keiki and just like kind of just pass down your information from learning from your peers and mentors.
Is there a dark side to it? It just for me.
I think if you want it to be, it doesn't have to be.
It just seems like the whole notion of privacy has been completely flipped. Like, there's a generation now that they've only known Instagram, and that's just what they grew up with.
Right.
I think back to, like when I was in junior high school, like girls would have these little like paper diaries with the silly lock on the side, lest it ever fall into the wrong hands. And now it's like those same kids, this generation,
it's an Instagram password is your lock.
Are posting, but they're posting those private moments that would have like in the past generations been kept private.
Right.
And not only are they posting them, but maybe even getting social anxiety if people don't resonate with their personal their personal feelings.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you're not getting enough likes, and
No, that's why I think Instagram taking away the likes thing is brilliant.
it's an interesting currency because, in a sense, it's like it's really just about, I guess, ego, I almost say, because there's no, I mean, I guess once you get to a certain level, you can leverage it and get sponsorships or whatever. But, you know, for the most part, like, I'm a professional photographer by trade, so I should be embracing Instagram. But part of me feels like I put all this content out there, and it's like I want like a badass art director or like somebody that I want to work with, or like a creative to see my work, and getting a bunch of likes from a 13-year-old in Brazil, like that's not really value added to me, you know.
True.
But people get so wrapped up in that, you know. Like,
it's easy. It's very easy to.
yeah.
You kind of just gotta chill on it and just throw it over there for a little bit and kind of just enjoy the people around you.
Have you witnessed firsthand anybody just really buying into the hype and getting caught up in the tornado of fame and attention and just believing their own self too much?
I mean, I want to say yes, but I feel like I haven't, because I try to surround myself with like-minded people, and at least in that world, just because you are who your friends are, and if your friends are shining and got their head on straight and some not head on straight, it's like you gotta have that balance. And like, I don't know, I mean, I don't think I've heard stories, but not
firsthand. I think that's great. I think that's testament to it's a smart perspective to really surround yourself with people that are gonna like build you up and make your life better. And but I think a lot of that comes back to growing up here, where you had a pretty solid head on yourself, and it's not like you were plucked from the middle of nowhere and dropped into this like other world with no coping skills, you know.
Yeah, I think my mom always told me, I mean, I don't think, but my mom definitely always told me, like, you are who your friends are, so just make sure you surround yourself with those people that you want to be like. I guess, which kind of sounds crazy because it's like,
are there some people that you've consciously chosen since you started modeling that you're like, you know what, that's a paradigm for who I do not want to be or how I don't want to act?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some people that I know that are bad news, just like the bad kids growing up.
They're fun to hang out with sometimes, but you don't want them in your circle.
Yeah, exactly. You can say what up, dap them up, but like you don't gotta be going over to their house all the time.
It must be surreal to have so many different distinct circles. Like me personally, so I'm not in the surf industry 12 months of the year. I've been working on this project. I come over here to North Shore in December, but I live in New York City, and I gotta say, like, it was really surreal to be walking down the street with my wife and my kid, and have a kid with pink hair yell out of a taxi window.
Crazy.
Like,
yeah,
and you're like, what are the chances? I was like, is that Evan?
That's why I love New York so much, is because that's a whole nother story of moving there, man. It's crazy. It's the best place on earth when it's the best place on earth. How did you
end up landing in Chinatown?
So my friend Taylor Okada, he's probably one of the biggest stylists out of Hawaii. He's been living in Chinatown for like 10 years. So every time I'd go there, I only went there for the first time in April, and I've been there like 25 times since, back and forth. But every time I'd go there, if I wasn't staying at a hotel on a job, he would be my contact, and he's always opened his doors for me, even if he wasn't there. He let me stay there, so I really got to know the area well. And
it's a rad neighborhood.
Such a good little gem.
I'm like 5 blocks from you. Right up the block.
It's such a good little gem to where like you can get in a situation of not having a plan. It's kind of like here. It reminds me of Hawaii in the sense that you could walk around town and see the people that you see all the time, go to the coffee shop, and it feels like you know the staff there. It's cool. They know what you want to order already.
For sure.
I love that because it's like you don't really get that.
Or Grumpy's or
going to Little Canal, going to Token.
I mean, I've always described New York as a place where there's like an infinite number of little circles, social circles, but once you identify and create one for yourself, it's a really small community. I think just the fact that it's like, it's not car driven, it's largely you walk everywhere, and like, actually, I have such a sense of community. Like I know people that own the stores, I know people in my building, like I run into people. And that's what's interesting. People come to New York sometimes and they stay at the Marriott in Times Square and they're like, oh, I could never live here. I'm like, dude, I couldn't live there either, trust me. It's crazy up there, I mean, it's also really, I think, a special place to live because it's, according to the census, it's literally the most culturally diverse place maybe on the globe.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's...
Yeah, that's why I feel like I've never been to a city that felt like it matched my personality so well. In the sense of, like, I'm so ADD, I get over things quickly, and I get into new things quickly, and I have my hand in, like, a lot of different worlds, and, like, there's every different type of world there, and there's always something going on, whether it's an art show, or friends are going out for dinner, or having you over for dinner, or I can walk to Soho in 10 minutes.
It's amazing.
I love that, and it's so different from Hawaii that I think that's why I love it so much.
It's kind of cool, actually. So I had a little opening the other night in Chinatown here in Honolulu, and that was a really cool zone, too. I've never been down there before.
It's crazy. Chinatowns around the world are, like, usually the sickest areas. It's
funny, and my wife's from Vancouver, and we're back there a lot, and the Chinatown in Vancouver is it kind of had so many parallels with what I saw here. It's like a little definitely grimy, definitely been through a couple different ups and downs, but like you'll see some sketchy homeless dude and an abandoned store, and then like a really hot, cool new store.
Yeah.
And like, it's definitely...
That's kind of the one in Chinatown.
For sure. It's like definitely on the verge of like kind of a new reinvention and renaissance, which is funny because if you look at Chinatown in New York, or people come to New York and they want to go see Little Italy, like Little Italy is like a street full of shitty tourist restaurants. There's no real Italians left in Little Italy.
Yeah.
But like Chinatown, like they have that on lock. Like it's growing, It's a really interesting place. But it must be really interesting just having so many different worlds that you can kind of land in, and do you ever have to take a moment to not get culture shocked, making a transition from, this is a huge transition from where we are right now to runway in Paris.
The only culture shock in New York, at least for me, was not having a washer and dryer in your unit and having to take your stuff down the stairs and around the corner.
That's what's so fun, like about, touching on how LA is just so image oriented, and everybody's fronting like they're fabulous, whereas like in New York, like if you have a dishwasher, like you're balling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's funny. But I think, what New York has to offer, it's worth paying that, because it's like, if you're happy there, then it's worth it, It's like, what are you working for in the first place then?
Right on. Yeah, I think so. I think the first time I met you was over at Bob Hurley's house, and they've always been so warm to me. Bob's such a warm character, and you were just a wee grom back then. I remember they taking some pictures of Bob and his mom and like the whole crew, and so like I've known you for quite some time, and so I pulled up a couple crazy old shots, like that's you from the skate park.
Oh my god, dude. Man, not much has changed. But that was John's premiere day, huh?
I think it might have been, yeah.
That's the screen.
Yeah, you're right.
I remember that. That's the first time I've seen him drunk. Maybe actually the only time.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a little loose that night?
Yeah, he did. It was sick.
I felt so blessed to be able to be here for that. I've gotten to experience just a lot of really amazing things on the North Shore, but that in particular just felt so communal. Mm-hmm. I've gotten to experience like high-end CT, pro surf, like rah-rah shit, but like just to be able to be a part of that, it just felt so roots.
Yeah, just because me and him would go to the skate park every day with Ivan and Nathan. Like, everyone used to skate back in the day, so it was cool that...
What about that one?
That's the same day, right?
Maybe. You're looking pretty spry there.
Dude,
we'll pull that one. I was like, I just gotta get the gratuitous shower shot.
Damn, that's so funny. I missed that board.
And then...
that was last year.
Might have been last year.
Yeah, that's when I shaved my head.
With the shaved head, was that a conscious reinvention, or is it just like kind of like a spur of the moment thing?
It was a bet. Me and one of my biggest mentors, Joe Termini, Kelly Moniz's husband. Yeah. One of my best friends.
Oh, right on. Yeah, he bought one of my books. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's dope. We were at dinner, and he's like, dude, I'll shave your head. And I was like, if you shave yours, he's like, all right. So we get the clippers. We go to the Turtle Bay Resort and get these clippers, and dude, I accidentally cut his hair with it. Like, we agreed to like a 2 or whatever length.
Yeah.
And then I accidentally, like, the clip was on, but somehow it messed up, and the thing was like, bicked it. I just fully bicked it. I was like, oh no, that means I gotta do mine like that too. And so we did it, and that was a really weird feeling. I woke up the next day, like my head was stuck to my shirt, and I was just like, this is so weird. I haven't had this feeling since I was like 11 years old. And then it grew out a little bit, and I've been wanting to bleach my hair, so we did that. And my friend Jonah was like, dude, it's already like bleached. Like, you want to do a color? I was like, yeah, sure, what color? He's like, we should do pink.
Did you have any idea, or were you prepared at all for the whirlwind that would lead to?
Not at all. That's the craziest part. It was like, you couldn't make this up. It's like, dude, I met one of my favorite artists, Tom Sachs. And then it was literally that day I made my hair pink. I met Tom Sachs. He sent that video to Frank. Frank posted it all in that 24 hours. And it was just like, ever since that day, like my life was completely changed. Because like a couple days later, I'm doing an interview with Vogue. They're asking me about this whole deal. Because Frank's got such a crazy cult following that he like...
People respect
it. People really listen to what he's doing. So if something is attached to that, someone's attached to what he's doing... And I think it was right around the time he made his Instagram public, so people were really, really into it. I had no idea Tom was filming about that. He's like, oh, say what up to my friend Frank. Like, he's got cool hair like you, and just say what up to him. And he's like, what you got?
What's up? Tom asked you to cut him in on some of his fame since then. Did you give him a commission?
Dude, he doesn't need any of it.
I was going to say, follow up. It's like, he doesn't need that. No, he's
a visionary.
I love his work. It's always it's so cool that there's this kind of cross pollination of surf and rockaway and skate and fashion and Hawaii and all these elements that come together. It's cool.
I mean the greats like Julian Schnabel and stuff like it. They're so into surfing too. It kind of just shows how important those components are. Like surf and skate culture is so embedded in those art worlds with those people that are like the forefront of that whole scene.
That's why it's so funny seeing Julian over here walking around in purple pajamas.
It's crazy.
Have you gotten a chance? Have you gone out to Rockaway yet? Out to Tom's place?
No, I haven't actually done most of the things you should have done. I haven't really spent a substantial amount of time there yet. I've been like in and out, like here for a week. Like
just tipping for.
Yeah, my homie's like, dude, how long are you here for? I was like, dude, I'm not kidding. I'm here and I'm leaving tomorrow night.
And it's a whirlwind of like cabs and restaurants and parties or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny because he works a 9 to 5. My homie Tino, and he just can't really even understand it. He's like, now the joke's like, how long you here for now, bro? Like, it's funny though. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, it's nice to be there.
Speak to me about like the communal aspect of like surfing versus skating. I feel like, does anyone ever dream of rolling up to a skate park and having it completely empty to themselves? Like, I get the sense that you don't, right? You want your friends there.
Yeah, I hate when I don't skate alone. I think I feel like here it's a totally different way of going about surfing because you want to get the good one. And like, say if you're surfing at Sano, you're probably on a longboard with a bunch of your homies and you're doing party waves. You're not doing a party wave at Pipe, or else you're gonna get punched out. So it's a case-by-case thing. I think surfing is fun in a lot of different ways, just like skating is. Because there's some days I just would want to go to a red curb and do slappies all day. And then there's a place where I just want to go do airs or like do long grinds or, you know.
You travel with the skateboard always?
Yeah, I never don't travel with it.
And I because of that, it must be refreshing because you can roll up to whatever, Paris or Barcelona and just like skate up somewhere and you're gonna have a tribe that you're gonna be able to click with as opposed to, you know, if you roll up to whatever.
Yeah, the most frequently answered question or asked question is, do you skate anymore? I was like, yeah, I don't like skate any less than I ever did before. I just added something to the table. I just added like something to my plate. Like,
and I think that's why so many people resonate with you is because they see that, yeah, you're walking on a runway, you're doing, you know, Dior or whatever it may be, but like you have legitimate interests that you were talented and successful at before that came about. And you don't always see that in the fashion world. Sometimes you see people with like a unique face that get scooped up and like that's kind of what they are, period.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd be half the person I am without those things. I'd just be another kid in the model scene. I think it's just what makes you different nowadays, and because everyone's so good at everything, so you just gotta like really hone in on your craft, whatever it is, and try to just be the best you can be with it. I mean, it's not hard. You just gotta do it. You know, it's just like anything. You just get good at, you know,
focus,
doing whatever you want to do.
Well, dude, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm super stoked for you. I hope you have an amazing year, and appreciate you sitting down, dude.
Thanks, Justin.
Good shit, man.
Appreciate it.
This episode of The Plug was produced by Bucci with audio engineering and original music by Peter Buckingham. Thanks for listening, and a huge thanks to today's guests for dropping in. If you like this episode, hit subscribe and be sure to tune in for future conversations.